everybody, this is Diana from So Very Crafty, and we are here today to make a DIY packing cube. That's what this is. It is a DIY packing cube that you can use to pack whatever you want and take it on a trip. This is a super simple project that anybody can make. It's basically a beginner project that we're going to be making today. I made this original prototype packing cube out of ripstop nylon, so it was water resistant. But today's project I'm going to make out of cotton. But as you can see, it's got some mesh on the top so it can breathe a little bit and you can see what's inside. And it's got a zipper that opens all the way around so that we can put our stuff in and out exactly the way that we want to. This is a pretty easy project today, as are most of the projects here at So Very Crafty. So I hope you enjoy this project today, and if you do, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and ding that bell for notifications so that you can get notified of all future So Very Crafty videos. And if you want more sewing and crafting projects, head over to the website at www.soverycrafty.com for loads and loads and loads of more sewing and crafting tutorials that you won't find here on the YouTube channel. Now, what do we need to do to get started on this DIY packing cube? The first thing we need is fabric. We need one piece of 10-inch by 10-inch fabric for this particular packing cube. Now you can make this packing cube bigger or smaller if you want. Just make sure that the measurements that you use are proportional to the measurements I'm going to give you today. You're also going to need a 10 by 10 inch piece of mesh. Now we need to be a little careful when we're cutting and sewing this mesh because it does stretch. As you can see, it is a little stretchy, and when you stitch it, it tends to stretch as well. So we want to be careful about that. We also need to have a 3-inch wide by 36-inch long piece of fabric that is going to actually be the body of our packing cube today. The next thing we need is a smaller piece of fabric that measures 2 inches by 4 inches that we're going to create a zipper tab from, and another piece that measures 1 1/4 inch by 5 1/4 inch that's going to be another zipper tab. And finally, we need a zipper. Now you can use a sports zipper or a handbag zipper that measures about 30 inches, or you can use a continuous zipper like I have here today that measures about 31 inches. I like these continuous zippers because I can cut them to any length that I want, and I also get to put these fun zipper pulls on them that you can't get when you get the standard zippers from the store. So I use this little star zipper pull today for this project. So the first thing that we need to do is we're going to take our outer fabric and our lining fabric, and our mesh fabric rather, and we are just going to round the corners of our fabric pieces. And the way I'm going to do that, because I want these to match, is I'm going to keep them together And I think I'm just going to place a little pin in here, and hopefully that will hold that in place. And put another pin. And I'm just going to fold them in half. And I want all of my rounding corners to match. So I'm going to use my measurements on my cutting board, and I'm going to take a pen and I'm just going to make a dot on the 1-inch mark on each side, and then I'm just going to connect these dots. Oops, this pen doesn't work. Or if you have a rounding ruler like this one, you can just put it on the corner there and round the corners just like that. And I'm going to do that on both ends. And they're about the same. And I'm just going to cut my corners so that they're rounded on both ends. Make sure all of your raw edges are lined up, or you're going to have some funky rounded corners. You could of course do these all separately, but I find that the rounded edges tend to not match when you do them separately, so I've decided to do them together. And now we have 4 corners that are rounded. For our project today. Let's take out these pins. We're going to set this aside for the moment. Now we need to prepare our zipper. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to add our zipper tabs to our long zipper. The first one we're going to add is a standard sort of zipper tab. And what I'm going to do here is fold the short ends of this 2-inch by 4-inch piece to the center. I'm going to fold the longer ends also to the center. And then I'm simply going to wrap this around the end of my zipper. And as you can see, it fits perfectly and there are no raw edges. I'm going to take some Wonder Clips and I'm just going to clip this for the moment. And we have a nice zipper tab down at the bottom of our zipper. Now I'm going to take the other piece and I'm just going to place it right sides together with my zipper. And I'm just going to clip it at the bottom. I'm going to head over to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch this zipper tab all the way around in a box on one end. And on this long end, I'm going to just stitch across the end using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I'm going to do that and I'll come back and we'll move on to our next step. Now I'm back from the sewing machine and I'm just going to clip off these threads. And I have stitched on my zipper tab on one end, and I have my other zipper tab on the other end, and our zipper with the tabs should reach 36 inches, and mine does. It reaches 36 inches exactly. Now we need to take our 3-inch by 36-inch piece of fabric, and we need to attach our zipper to it. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to take our fabric piece and place it right sides up on our work surface. And we're going to place our zipper right sides down on our work surface. And I'm just going to take some Wonder Clips here. You could use pins if you like. And I'm just going to clip it along the long edge here. Now that that's clipped, I'm going to stitch this zipper onto this long piece of fabric using, I would recommend a zipper foot for this, but as usual here on Sew Very Crafty, I have my 1/4-inch foot on my sewing machine, so I'm just going to use a 1/4-inch foot to stitch this on. So I'm going to head over to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch this zipper using our 1/4-inch foot, or if you have a zipper foot, you can use a zipper foot for this, all along this long edge so that we attach our zipper, and when we flip it this way, it will be right sides out, and we'll be able to zip and unzip our packing cube when we are finished. Now we're back at the workstation, and we're just going to flip our zipper up so that it is right sides up and the fabric is right sides up. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the short ends and we're going to place them right sides together. So now we're creating a tube, if you will, a narrow tube that we're going to use to add our bottom and our top to our packing cube. So I'm going to run over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch along this short end using a 1/4-inch seam allowance. Now you can see we have a round tube, and it's time for us to add our bottom to our packing cube. And the best way to do this is to fold this in half, and I like to use the end of the zipper to mark this. And you can use a pen, or you can just take a little nip out of the corners here, because it's within the seam allowance, so you'll never see it, but you'll be able to line up these corners. And now you're going to line those marks up so they're centered, and do the same on the other ends. You're going to do that on the zipper side, as I'm doing now, and you're also going to do it on the bottom, because you're going to be adding the mesh to the zipper side and the fabric to the bottom. And again, if you'd like to make this water resistant, you can use a ripstop nylon. That's a little more difficult to work with if you're a beginner than working with the cotton fabric, but it's not too bad. It's just a little slippery, and so you have to be a little bit careful with it. Okay, so now I have marked all of my centers. I'm going to do the same thing on my bottom piece. I'm going to fold it in half, and I see that this corner's not, so let's just fix that. And I'm going to nip off these corners. Fold it in half again, lining up these little triangles that you've nipped off, because that's going to help us to line up where we need to have our bottom and our zipper placket line up. So now we are going to take our zipper placket and our bottom, and we're going to place them right sides together. Matching up these little triangles that you clipped in the seam allowance. And you can use clips or pins, it's completely up to you. This is the best way that I know to center a piece when you're using a sort of a circular tube and trying to match up the bottoms. Now do something else. Now that we have clipped our bottom onto our zipper placket, we're just going to head over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch this together. Okay, so we're back at the sewing machine now, and I'm just going to stitch our bottom to the side of our placket. And I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance for this. And since I have a 1/4 inch foot on my machine, I can just use the side of my zipper foot to stitch right along here. Okay, so we have stitched our bottom to our zipper placket. So now let's go over and add our mesh and we'll be finished with this project. Okay, so we have stitched our zipper to our zipper placket. And you can see our project shape. Now what we do is stitch on our mesh. And we're going to do the same thing as we did before. We're going to find centers on our mesh. And just put a little bit. moves around and it tends to stretch. So we want to be careful with it. Now we already put our notches in our zipper part of the There's only one side to this mesh. So we're just going to turn our project one side out. And we'll start matching up our notches. Now let's just head back over to the sewing machine and let's stitch this up and we'll be finished with this project. Now here we are back at the sewing machine and we are just going to stitch our mesh. And we will stitch this mesh exactly the same way that we stitch our fabric. Just take care to watch for the stretching of the mesh. I know I keep repeating that, but it's easy to forget as you're stitching. Okay, so now we have stitched our mesh and we're going to go back to the workstation. Now we are back at the workstation, and one of the things I should have told you before we stitched on our mesh is we needed to open up our zipper. Fortunately, this zipper is easy to open and close, so it didn't matter. But make sure you open and close open your zipper before you sew on your mesh. But that's it for today. We have finished our DIY packing cube. All you have to do is fill it up and put it in your suitcase and you're ready to go, or you can use it in your drawers. It's really completely up to you. You can do whatever you want with these packing cubes. They are super easy to make. They don't take very long, and they're perfect for travel. I have this one and now I have this one. So I have two, one out of ripstop nylon and one out of cotton fabric that will work perfect for my travels back and forth to Ireland, as I want to do. So I hope you enjoyed this project today, and if you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, ding that bell for notifications, and head over to the website at www.sewverycrafty.com for more sewing and crafting tutorials that you won't find here on the YouTube channel, and give this project a try. It's a simple one. Any beginner can do this. Just make sure that you have the right kind of zipper for this project, because it's a long one. A 30-inch zipper is what you need for this project, or 31-inch if you're using a continuous zipper like I am. But they're easy to come by, so I would highly recommend this project. Super simple, easy to do, takes about 15 minutes if you're an intermediate sewist, and maybe a little bit longer if you're a beginner, but it's not too bad. So I hope you enjoyed this project today, and I will see you all next time. Bye.